Hey everybody, Evan with the Grainiac here. So I was commissioned to make this entryway table for a customer. So I'm going to show you how I do that in my small little workshop. Have a lot of things on wheels in here. I can move things out of the way, bring things into the center of the room. I'm going to plane up the edge. Basically you want a true side, so when you're cutting it on a table saw, you know it's going to be even on the other side. All you need is a true side and a true face. So once you cut it, then I'm going to run it through the planer. At least make sure one side is level. So here we're adjusting the saw. You want the teeth to be above the board. I'm making it right now at a width where I can cut it in half. I'm going to make all 4 of my table legs out of that one chunk of wood. Gotta move my hose around, hook it up to my planer now. Gotta run it through. Just want to make sure everything's even before I make my final cuts. What I have to do is turn my rough cut wood into dimensional lumber. So these are all steps that you normally wouldn't have to take if you're just buying boards from the store. But I got these things on auction a long time ago. This wood's lasted me probably about 3 years now. I got 3,000 square foot of wood for $380. So I'm kind of coping with it, but I'm finding out quick I'm going to start buying a lot more dimensional lumber because dealing with this rough sawn stuff is a lot more work. So I'm figuring out I want it to be about 28 inches high, a little extra with the top on it. He wanted it 10 inches deep, and he wants a shelf below the top about 10 inches. So from my design in the very beginning, you see I measured it out and I figured out what I needed. Pretty much all going from my head. I'll refer back to my picture a few times, but pretty much know what I'm going to make. So here's 2 legs, and I'm going to run my other board through, make 2 more. And I get a little bit of burn on the edge of my boards from letting them sit in my table saw too long. That happens, especially with this hardwood. This is red oak, and so I'm just going to be running it on a sander here in a little bit to take that burn marks off of there. It's not a big deal. Pulling out my table, make a big flat surface on it. Now we're cutting my tabletop and my shelf. This contraption I found online and I made it. It's really nice, easy way to cut with the 45-inch saw, 45 saw, scroll saw, skill saw, whatever they're called. Basically just line up that part, and then you got your flat edge, run it right across, and it puts it right on the mark every time. So suggest looking those up and making one for yourself. And then done with the table, get that out of the way. Basically with a small shop, you got to make use of the little space you do have. So I'm jointing that edge, making it as flat as I can for when I'm cutting it, and I know it's going to be even. Do about 6-7 passes. Kind of give it the eyeball check, set it on the floor, see if it's straight. I have to move my shop vac hose around everywhere I go. I have it hanging from the ceiling. So now I'm planing it, run it through about 4 or 5 times on each side, trying to make sure the widths of both the top and the shelf are the same. This had a hole and some cracks in it. I ended up doing a little bit of epoxy on. This is just part 1, so make sure to follow for finishing up the table. I'm just giving you a good idea what it's like to have mediocre tools in a small space, that you can still make good looking furniture. You can still do a little bit of commission work. You don't need a $100,000 shop in the beginning. Obviously, if you're going to start pushing out a lot more projects, you might want to go looking to getting something a little bigger. But for now, this all works for me. Making arts and crafts and few commission things here and there. I just got done making some garbage can enclosures for my brother's meat shop. Those were pretty big. That took up almost all the room I had. So here we're just getting all the burn marks off of there. I did have these previously stained for another project, so I'm repurposing them. Made sure to get all the stain off. sand it down. I told him when I have the table together, I'll message the customer and see what color he wants for stain. If I have to go buy some or use some that I already have around. Making sure everything's even and flush. What I'm going to do is pocket hole joints to get the legs together, and then I'm going to have one board on the back attaching the 2 sets of legs. Then I'll set the bottom shelf on, attach it with tabletop fasteners. Make sure to clean everything off, sand it up. Here's the pocket hole. This isn't a Craig jig, but same thing. Again, all of my tools are pretty mediocre, you know. Till I can get a little busier and get the big boy stuff. This all works though. The whole point of my channel is pretty much showing you can make do with what you have. You don't need high-end stuff. I mean, I got a 9 to 5. I don't do this all the time. An hour or 2 at night if I'm lucky. So here's the pocket holes. Clean it up. And this is one side of the table. And there's a bar for the bottom shelf and then top shelf. All right, stick around. Part 2 is coming in a few weeks.